This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, August 14th, 2021. This is Greg Morton. This is the weekend update for the Greenville Eastside IBD Meetup Group, as well as the Stockyard Meetup Group. So, as always, this is for educational purposes only, not recommending any stocks or securities to buy or sell, and all investing has substantial risk of big losses, so we certainly want to learn first and only then invest. So this weekend, we'll look at the M factor, market review, market direction, look briefly at the list of some key earnings reports still coming up this week, even though we're sort of through the standard earnings period. Growth stocks, breakouts are still sort of struggling overall, trying to get traction. We'll look at some charts that might be Watchworth worthy this weekend. I'll remind you about the YouTube page, and then we'll look at the agenda for the upcoming meeting, including a brand new educational segment. Really haven't done one exactly in the way we're going to do that on Tuesday evening. So the M factor, this is the most important letter in Canslim, as O'Neill teaches it, and we just want to interpret, we don't want to predict, and we look at three things in this order of priority: the action of leading stocks, the actions of stocks owned, market pulse, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes. So we'll flip over to MarketSmith, and we'll also look at my Excel spreadsheet, the coloring book, and the group teaching portfolio. So we'll exit out of here. So here's the NASDAQ on the daily chart. And the bottom line, we've gone through many weekends lately where the indexes, really the big four ones, are just fine. They've stayed fine. They're above the 21-day. The moving averages are stacked in the correct order. The problem is all this rotation under the smooth surface of these indexes being at new highs week after week. So these main four are going to be fine. Let's see, S&P 500, very similar, above the moving average lines, are stacked in the correct order, keeps hitting new all-time highs day after day. NYSE, same thing, some all-time highs, along with 10, 21, 50-day, everything stacked in the correct order. Dow, same thing, several new all-time closing highs this week. Weakness is in the small cap indexes. Russell here still stuck under the 50-day, so need to see some improvement there. Very poor RS line. S&P 600, same thing, battling at the 50-day with the 10 and 21 inverted under the 50-day. So that's where it'd be nice to see those catch up with the big four. But for right now, again, the indexes are fine, but that's not the most important thing. It's how the leaders are acting, whether they're setting up. And so that's sort of where we're having the problem now. So flipping to the coloring book. So here's our 25-day window starting at the orange dot. I have only 9 buying days and 10 selling days within the 25-day window. So that's just my personal account, judging each day as sort of a buying day, sort of a selling day, or just can't tell, a trendless day. So that's the count I have. Distribution day, we have a total of 4 on the NASDAQ. They're pretty far back, or scattered at least. They have the dotted borders around them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We will lose 2 in the coming week due to the age rule. And on the S&P 500, we'll lose 3 in the coming week. And then 1 more on each the week after that. So we have 5 on the S&P 500. So these counts will drop a good bit by the end of next week if we don't have additional distribution days coming in. And we have 3 on the Dow, and it also will drop at least 1 next week. So market school exposure models 4, power trends still own, MMTS, all 6 indexes are green, IBD is confirmed uptrend, and the window of opportunity is open. So you can see the breakouts that happen, Canslim breakouts during the last week. So these are good ones to keep an eye on, see if they can follow up and gain some more traction as we go forward. And then the group teaching portfolio. So just the highlights, we'll look at this in detail when I explain the agenda to you for Tuesday's meeting. Up 15.5% year to date. So Docs and Dexcom recently have helped with those statistics. Suddenly, we're 82% invested, and dollar-wise, a total of about 7 positions, 8, but some of them aren't full, and then like Dexcom is oversized. So it's been a difficult year, just now catching up to where the NASDAQ is, and you just hear a lot of growth traders saying, yes, this has been a difficult environment, even though the indexes keep staying up there at all-time highs. So we'll go back over here. We covered all that. Some general notes, weekend routine still showing some watch list candidates in the growth sectors and some in like materials and the non-traditional growth sectors. Recent breakouts are struggling. See what the ones from last week did, you know, some key names, Upstart, Docs, Figs, Nucor, Lithium in that space. See if these can make progress. There's certain IPOs that are doing well, Docs and Figs, which I mentioned, and we'll look at both those closer on Tuesday night. Distribution, like I explained, currently 4 on the NASDAQ, 5 on the S&P 500, 3 on the Dow. NASDAQ will lose 2, S&P 500 will lose 3 next week. MMTS is all green, and then the buy-sell day count, you know, it's just still a seesaw sort of tied market. So overall, still a stock picker's market. Make sure you're doing a weather report, not a weather forecast. No way to predict. You know, for the past 5 weekends, I've sort of used the same analogy of driving the car. It's time to be easy on the gas, easy on the brakes, or coast. It's still not pedal to the metal, and it's not lock down the brakes either. So past weeks still say light accelerator at best. If you're making progress, can keep your foot on the gas pedal a little bit. If you're really struggling, might need to take a little rest break and see if things improve and some of the holdings you still have can make some progress. So still want to be super disciplined with the watch list process and the entries. You want to find the Michael Jordans for your team. The watch list is a process of exclusion, not inclusion. Not every stock gets a trophy. You want to make sure they earn the way onto your top tier watch list. And as Jim Ropel said, it's just a mushy market. They'll wear you out or scare you out, and this is just one of those wear you out phases. And he said, quite frankly, in that recent podcast, you know, he was having trouble making progress. And so if he is, not surprising that the rest of us mere mortals are having trouble making progress also. So the week ahead, still a notable EPS week, even though we're past the traditional periods for customers that are, companies that are on the fiscal year calendar. Last weekend, I mentioned, hey, keep an eye on these: Coin, Disney, Celsius, Figs, Docs. And so this week coming up, we'll have Roblox coming, Home Depot and Lowe's. Of course, they tie into the construction aspect of things. Grubhub, SE Limited, Walmart, Robinhood has its first report. Zim, the shipping company, DLO, at Target, TJ Maxx, NVIDIA reports this week, Applied Materials reports, John Deere reports, which is sort of tied into that construction space. They make some heavy equipment, and if all this infrastructure is going on, there'll be people needing new heavy equipment. So those are some to keep an eye on. As always, looking for buyable gap ups as well as add-on buy points on any stocks that you happen to own. So go back to Market Smith, just look at a couple charts. I just put some in here. These may or may not be watch list worthy. NVIDIA, already mentioned, they report. Let's go to weekly charts. Earnings this week, so it's set up this stage 2 flat base, 14% deep. RS lines near new highs. Good earnings, growth, and profitability, triple digits in the last quarter, very strong double-digit sales growth. Trade $7.4 billion per day, so it's very liquid. IR, Ingersoll Rand, this is sort of similar to John Deere, some construction equipment and pumps and compressors and things related to that, as well as they're a lot broader than that if you go look at their website. So set up, it's reported earnings already, and it's right there, 1% above the pivot. ATKR, another construction play, right at the top of the buy zone, went up the right side of that base pretty quickly, but triple digit earnings and sales, so that's always attractive. Got one top rated fund in there on the right, trades $38 million per day. ESI, chemicals, specialty, 11% deep flat base. That's a nice tight flat base with a lot of tight weekly closes in there. Canslim, earnings and sales, almost triple digit earnings, trades 34 million, has one top rated fund in there. IQV provides biopharmaceutical supplies, that sort of thing. Again, very tight, 6% deep flat base. Wow, that's really a tight flat base with tight trading in there. Again, Canslim numbers, trades 231 million per day, so very liquid, and you got Fidelity Contra Fund in there already. And then Square, which everybody is familiar with, has just reported earnings, again, had triple digit earnings and sales, trades 2.3 billion per day, has a lot of top rated funds in it, and is in this stage 1 consolidation. And so it tried to break out, sort of fell back. So those are some that may want to keep an eye on or study in your weekend routine. So our big August monthly meeting is this Tuesday, which is the 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll look at the M factor, current watch list stocks from this weekend. Once I finish that process, recent IPOs, IPO market, stocks the group picked, the normal stuff, but the educational topic. So this is going to be new. So maybe you feel like you're always on pins and needles at EPS time with regard to stocks that you already own, is what we're talking about. So that's not a pleasant feeling. So for the educational topic, I'm going to cover in detail that dilemma, to hold or not to hold. We're going to try to cover it from A to Z, which will include looking at the two extreme options, which is always selling before earnings or always holding through earnings. And then we're going to look at things in between and let you know where I've settled and what my thinking is currently, including a new, not just a cushion rule, but a cushion plus another factor. And so we're going to do that. I'm going to talk about the potential rules, and then we're going to go through the group teaching portfolio and do post analysis on the earnings seasons that we just had. So we had 5 stocks in there that have reported recently. So we're going to walk through each one of those, what they look like before earnings, what the decision was, and why it was made. And then we're going to talk about what's next after earnings. How are we handling the position once we see what happens? So I think that'll be very interesting and hopefully very helpful and educational. So we'll see how that works out. And then in July, I just put this in here. I had covered, walk through the newspaper, tips and tricks, how to use that in a weekend review. And then we also went over the buyable gap up rules. So if you sign up for the August meeting and you're a first timer, I send you a courtesy copy of the July meeting. So that's why I put that agenda in there. And then you can visit my YouTube page, which is the Stockyard, which of course is where you're watching this video. There's other ones in there. I've done one on the certainteed 8-week hold rule. Our whole meeting from back in May, I believe, is the one that's in there where I covered the IN Canslim in detail. So I just put that out there as a sample of what we cover in our meetings. So just take advantage of those and watch those. Here's also a list of the main educational topics. Some people want to go back and get these. It's the same cost as same tuition as coming to a meeting. They're $10. So I kind of put in green the ones that seem to be the most helpful, I get the best feedback on, and the ones that are ordered the most, including January, February, and March this year, where I spent 3 months going through on the topic of writing a set of your own personal sell rules. And we talked about sort of all 3 trading zones on the Market Smith chart. So that was quite extensive. And if you go through that, you should easily be able to have your own set of written sell rules when you come out of that. And if you don't have written sell rules, I just think that's one of the most important things that people can do to improve, to really help them get to the next level. And of course, that's again sort of what we're covering this week, because whether you hold or not hold through earnings is a sell rule. Am I going to sell some, all, part? What am I going to do? So it's, again, having a written rule that addresses that is something that we discussed there. And I'm also going to cover in more detail on Tuesday night. And so I'll drop this slide next weekend. Just remember, I did the recent interview with Richard Moglen, where we talked a lot about IPO bases and that sort of setup, and those are on his YouTube page. So questions and comments, the 2 meetup sites that I run are the Greenville Eastside IBD Meetup. You can just go to meetup.com and search for these. That has all the resources on it. And then the Stockyard Meetup site is where you sign up for monthly meetings if you want to sign up for the one on Tuesday. And so we will have the educational topic, the other things I talked about, and then we'll do some live open mic chart analysis at the end too. So that'll be a 2-hour, maybe a 2-hour plus meeting. We'll take a 5-minute break halfway through. So that's it. Hope you have a great weekend routine, and look forward to seeing some of you Tuesday night. That's it. I'm out of here.